Da, 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 da. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome once again to Lancing with myself. Sorry we're a day late today, but life happens, and that's something we've talked about before on the podcast, because when you're low on spoons and low on cash, things can get in the way. And there's an old adage that you should write every single day or create every single day, but that's something that's said by, healthy people who aren't disabled or aren't particularly poor and don't always have, have plenty of access to spoons. But that's not what we talk about here on Lancing with Ourselves, the 5-minute weekly show where I talk about being a game designer and a general creative when you're low on spoons and low on cash. Last week, I was talking about playtesters and how to get things out of them, how to tell when they're giving you bad feedback, or how to tell good, useful feedback from less useful feedback. And playtesters are a difficult bunch. They're not always experts, they're not always game designers, and they shouldn't be game designers because you need feedback from everybody. But that means they're not always going to be able to tell you the things that you need to be told. They're not going to be able to say things the right way, process the information the right way. They're not going to be able to even really tap in to what they feel about games. And that's something you can actually look at by looking at how people talk about games. Going onto game forums and seeing how people talk about games, the language they use, the expressions and the choice of metaphors that they use for games, give you a sense of how we talk about games emotionally and how it's not always very precise. Understanding that kind of vernacular will help you unlock the things that playtesters will say. What I'm saying is that you have to be a translator. Your playtesters are going to react to the game, and you shouldn't always treat that as proper criticism, right? Because it's an emotional reaction that you then have to filter through and understand. For example, if people say that they felt the game was unbalanced, that means they felt unsafe. There was something in the game that either made them feel really, really able to get ahead of everyone else, which felt unfair, or they couldn't catch up and they felt like they were missing out. So what they've said there is, they're trying to sort of say, oh, your game mechanics aren't right because they're unbalanced or they're broken. But what they're actually communicating is, I had a feeling like either I was way too far ahead or way too far behind. And it's that feeling that you have to address, not necessarily the broken or the unbalanced thing. How do I fix that feeling? If they say that it seems really complicated, then the problem might not be the complexity of the mechanics, but how the mechanics are presented, right? They can't hold it all in their mind. If they start having lots of different ideas on how to fix it, or how things that you want to add, that means they like one part of it, but they didn't like the other parts. So they've latched on to something that they really liked, and they're adding all these other things. So what you do there is you ignore all the other things they're adding and going, oh, okay, what did they like? What do they really like? And that's the thing that caught their attention. So that's the feedback you've got, is something that catches their attention. If they start thinking of variants and things for their game, that means they think the game is very social and very adaptable to groups. And they're thinking about how they will adapt it to their particular group, which means they think the game is flexible, but the game might need more structure because they're trying to just mutate it constantly. So there might need to be a few more barriers around the edge. On the other hand, it might be a very simple game. So there's this issue of translation, of figuring out what the actual behind the comment emotions are. And this is why I talk about Clever Hans a lot, because Clever Hans was a horse that used to watch people's emotions, and your job as a game designer watching playtesters is not just to listen to what the words that they say, but the feelings that they feel. I often say that game playtesting is about noises. Game playing is about noises. There's always these really interesting noises that happen when people are playing games. One of them is, oh, right, I get it now. Or, I see what you did. I see what you did. Or, ha, or yes. All these kind of emotions that spill out of triumph, frustration, wonder, revelation, conquest, success, frustration, failure, and the lack of noise as well, where people are just like, or looking away, looking at their phones. All these things are telling you things. So you're looking to listen not just to the words they say or the things they write down on a form. What you're looking for is the things behind those things, the emotions that they might have prompted those comments, the emotions that are driving those noises. You're looking for posture, you're looking for facial expressions, you're looking for how they hold their hands and how they stand. For me, I always know I've got a good game when people start standing up and leaning in, because that's an indication of their emotional state. So your job is not just to listen to the words. Don't make that mistake. You have to be clever Hans. You have to watch their body language, their faces, listen to the emotional noises, and be a translator to figure out what they really mean when they say whatever comments they say. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But you're a genius. Go make games. Be good. Have fun. Pat dogs. See you next week.